I discovered that I was living in a very mysterious environment. The problem that most of us have in recognizing this fact is that we become conscious of our surroundings very slowly. From the time of our birth into this world until the present, we accept what we encounter as a normal part of what we call reality with very little question about its actual nature. To get an idea of what I mean, close your eyes and try to imagine that you have never been able to see and don't know what your world looks like. Then open them and try to understand how startling the environment you consider normal really is. This normal environment is not only very mysterious, but within it are even more mysterious parts that do not fit our current scientific paradigm. They include all of those things that are weird or somewhat unbelievable that are along the borderlines of human experience. The important part of all of this is that the solution to this complex puzzle that we are living in is provided by the extraterrestrial contact described in these Law of One video series, and most eloquently so. All the puzzle parts fit together to make an understandable picture of the way things work and a new and workable paradigm for natural philosophy emerges. Practical applications in many fields become obvious, but the one salient objective of our extraterrestrial communicant overshadows all of these. We are explained how to accelerate our personal mental development, how to become an active participant in our own evolutionary process. Perhaps we are being offered priceless information that can only be appreciated if we accept and use it. The basic problem with telling this story is finding a starting place. There are many concepts and explanations, hence why the videos skip all over the place. Start one and pick it up later as our understanding grows. The reason for this is that we have a lot of very advanced concepts that really change the current accepted way of looking at things. For this reason, I'm going to leave more detailed explanations of communications methods and justifications of the material I'm trying in these videos to present information that I consider to be a giant step forward in the understanding of our universe. This is not very easy to do because there is a natural tendency to link new concepts with old ideas. In this case, it simply doesn't work. So please be patient while we establish a common base of communication. A lot of things will be mentioned about which you have some previous information. Please don't jump to conclusions based on previous knowledge. Most of Earthman's knowledge is a garbled version of a more universal knowledge. Most of our technology, philosophy, and theology are due to a very soft extraterrestrial influence. This soft contact is still occurring. It takes many forms, one of which is what we call the UFO phenomenon. There was a time in Earth's history when this contact wasn't soft. Extraterrestrial craft landed on Earth and direct contact was made with certain populations. One of these landings occurred in Egypt 11,000 years ago. The extraterrestrials that landed there were known as Ra. The Ra civilization contacted LL Research Group the first time on January 15, 1981. There have been over 100 contacts with LL Research Group since then. They told them that they had come to Earth 11,000 years ago in an attempt to offer their knowledge to the most advanced culture of that time. They had not realized how difficult communication would be, and after considerable effort, gave up their instructional effort and left Earth. The people at that time simply couldn't understand the concepts Ra offered to them. Those of Ra did, however, continued to monitor closely activities on Earth with the hope of someday being able to rectify the misconceptions that originated with their first contact. This 11,000-year period of closely monitoring Earth equipped them with much more knowledge of our history, languages, etc., than we ourselves have. For this reason, their communication were in English. In fact, their vocabulary is far greater than ours, and they seem to know every word or concept ever used. LL Research Group was picked as a recipient of Ra's current contact simply because they had acquired the minimal prerequisite knowledge to ask semi-intelligent questions. Due to Ra's first contact with human civilization and failure to be able to communicate, they did not volunteer information, but limit themselves to answering questions. This guarantees at least a reasonable comprehension of their information. The Ra civilization is so different compared to ours that most of our present scholars in the physical sciences would not even bother to look carefully at the basis of Ra's science. They would not recognize it as a science, just as an abnormal native wouldn't recognize a book on electronics as useful knowledge. Ra freely offered the Egyptians priceless information about their understanding of the fundamentals of the universe, but very little was comprehended. The same problem exists today. We are really in about the same shape as the Egyptians were in with respect to any basic understanding of fundamental principles of the universe. As I stated before, most of our knowledge is empirical. It has produced some impressive toys, but no real knowledge. The best way to find out how much we really know about our environment is to study the fundamentals of physics and chemistry. Albert Einstein did this and decided that no existing physical theory was adequate. He intuitively sensed a unity in all phenomena that had not been uncovered by any theoretical approach. It is common knowledge that his greatest effort was put forth in an attempt to develop a unified field theory. This would be a theory that would produce an adequate philosophical base for all natural phenomena such as gravity, electromagnetic radiation, etc. To try to explain where we are in scientific achievement, I'll make a simple analogy. Let's suppose that a primitive society somehow came across a modern automobile. After a few hundred years of study of this vehicle, they have formed theories about its working parts, and after a suitable length of time can even operate it. The native scientists would be revered as having great knowledge and understanding of the mysteries of physics. However, they probably would penetrate the subject just far enough to make it go. It's hard for the layman to believe that we are actually in the same shape with respect to real knowledge of the universe as the native scientists were about the car. But this is the case. There is a profound mystery at the base of all science. Einstein knew this and puzzled over it until his death. Most people working in scientific endeavors don't worry about or even think about these mysteries simply because it's impossible for most of them to make a living doing so. A large percentage of them went past these basic mysteries so fast in undergraduate school that they failed to notice that they existed. For instance, our application of electrical theories are so complex that it is easy to lose sight of the fact that it is all based on particle proximity and relative motion. Why these effects exist at their most basic level is not understood in any way. So I will be presenting new fundamental theories in these videos that I have received from LL Research and Circle R Group with communications of extraterrestrials and in particular with Ra. Most of them will have to do with things other than physical or chemistry because simply these studies are primitive and unimportant from Ra's viewpoint. What we will tend to focus our studies upon is ourselves. Once we understand ourselves, the rest will be easy. In the love and in the light of our one infinite Creator, be in peace. Adonai.